There was a time when Elle believed life had nothing left to offer her. She had been hurt too many times, by love, by fate, by broken promises. Loss had hardened her, disappointment had made her weary, and she wore her bitterness like an old coat, heavy and familiar. Then, one day, a letter arrived. Her grandmother had passed, leaving her an inheritance. But it wasn't money or property, at least not in the way Elle had hoped. It was a garden, an overgrown, forgotten piece of land behind her grandmother's old cottage. Wild vines strangled the fences, weeds ruled the soil, and the flowers, once vibrant, had withered long ago. To Elle, it was nothing but a burden, another thing to tend to, another disappointment wrapped in faded memories. She thought about selling it, but something stopped her. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was guilt, or maybe, just maybe, it was a whisper of something deeper, something buried beneath her bitterness. So, one afternoon she picked up a shovel. At first it was frustrating. The soil was tough, the roots stubborn, the work was slow, and her heart resisted. But day by day she returned. She pulled weeds, cleared dead leaves, turned the soil with her hands, and slowly something inside her started to shift. She remembered her grandmother's voice, soft and warm. "A garden needs patience, Elle. You can't force it to grow. You can only care for it, and trust that, in time, it will bloom." She hadn't thought about those words in years, but now, as she stood among the dirt and thorns, she understood them in a way she never had before. The garden wasn't just a garden. It was a mirror, a reflection of herself, neglected, tangled with old pain, waiting for someone to tend to it with care. The more she worked, the more she let go. And as flowers began to bloom, so did her heart. She thought about the people she had shut out, the love she had refused, the forgiveness she had withheld, not just from others, but from herself. And for the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel something other than anger. One morning, as the first golden tulips opened in the sunlight, Elle stood still, watching the way the petals reached for the sky. She took a breath, a deep, full breath. And in that moment, she understood life, like a garden, was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be cared for, nurtured, and given the space to grow. Elle didn't sell the garden, she stayed, and as the seasons changed, so did she. Because sometimes, the things we see as burdens are really just second chances in disguise.